we can't, as U.S. citizens or as a nation, depend on non-interoperable public safety communication systems. Example, Catherine Kennedy Townsend came to my office one day when I was at Bechtel, and we're right up the road at 270 in Frederick, Maryland, and a truck full of missiles had dumped over right at that intersection. So there were missiles strewn all over the highway. The county showed up, the Fed showed up, the local police showed up, the fire showed up, and none of them could talk to each other because they had non-interoperable systems. Actually, it was like a Keystone Cop issue. So she asked if Bechtel, at that time I had 3 laboratories, could we do anything? Could we offer a solution? I said, the solution is there. We have the technology solution. It's not a technical issue, it's totally political. Okay, the current state, many disparate systems, non-interoperable, different technologies. We have FDMA, OFDMA, TDMA, CDMA, none of which talk to each other. We have different codecs. We got VSEP, ACELP. We've got basically when you buy a system, a public safety system, you're captured by that manufacturer. Now, what's interesting, well, Utah came up with this chart that was really interesting, and it highlights what it means to be interoperable. Senator Mark Warner's office, I was working with them, and Mark gets it. I've known Mark for 25 years, and he had special comments for the Rockefeller bill. But his office identified over 13.6 billion of your dollars and my dollars that have been spent on interoperability just since 9/11. And we have very little to show for it. It's just money out through the sieve. So Rockefeller has come up with a bill entitled, it's got a really long title, you can read it there, but its short title is Spectrum Act. The Spectrum Act basically it offers up and says we got to make this thing nationwide. It encourages the effective use of spectrum. It promotes the voluntary market mechanisms to ensure optimal allocation of spectrum. And this is a tough one. Reforms the federal spectrum management practices. And lastly, it allows some dollars for advanced research. All right, who are the stakeholders? Basically all the public safety systems in the federal level, state level, and each of us is a stakeholder. If each of the public safety units was equipped with sensors, you'd have an immediate network nationwide to detect any biological or radiological events. Okay? Digital Sandbox and MACE, Sierra Nevada Corporation, MACE, they are basically data aggregators. They have tentacles into the FBI and CIA, all these entities, plus weather systems and everything else, to where a guy in Los Angeles could pull up, if he needed the floor plans for the 10th floor of XYZ building, boom, he'd have it right there on his iPad. To get involved, you need to talk to companies like Raytheon or like General Dynamics, Lockheed, or some of the manufacturers. If you're in the DAS manufacturing business, team with these folks. I've done a lot of teaming in the past, so I can help you with that. But bottom line is, this is in its infancy. This whole industry of public safety communications networks.